Hey everyone, welcome
Hello.
to Hello. This is my wife Tracy.
Hello.
Hi everyone, and we are here at a Hurricane Florence party. Woohoo!
Woo!
So we are located near Raleigh, North Carolina, and we do feel fortunate because Hurricane Florence was originally projected to just nail Raleigh straight on. However, it's for some strange reason going around Raleigh. So, we're still getting wind and rain, and we're hoping that those of you who are in the path of Hurricane Florence will stay safe, that you won't suffer any property damage. But, we feel very fortunate, though, that we're not being hit directly with Hurricane Florence.
Right.
So, not sure if you can really see behind us here very well, but it has been raining and it has been windy all day today.
Yeah,
And I think you can see this a little bit here.
there we go.
So you can see the trees moving there in the background. But, again, we feel very, very fortunate that we're no longer in the direct path of this hurricane. So there are, if you've never, now this is a travel channel. I'm just talking about travel in general. My wife and I, we really got the travel bug, I don't know, a few years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, we've always enjoyed traveling. And, you know, traveling is an important thing to do in our book. Because you never know if something bad might happen to an area, and then you feel talk to yourself, man, I really wish I had gone to that place, and now it's too late. An example would be Hawaii Volcano National Park, and I'm wearing my Kona T-shirt here from when we were in Hawaii just a couple of years ago. But the Volcano National Park, the volcanoes there suddenly started erupting just earlier this year, and now for the foreseeable future, it is impossible to visit that particular national park. So we feel very fortunate that we went there when we did.
Yep. And we also went to Glacier National Park in Montana this summer, right before the huge fire hit. So, in addition to some of the melting of the glaciers, they also have fires out there. So, you never know when Mother Nature is going to show her wrath. So, if you're able to get out and travel, we are huge proponents of that. Can't take it with you.
Absolutely. And so we tried to go someplace. We try to have like one big trip every year.
Yep.
And currently, the big trip for this calendar year is still up in the air. A number of options have present themselves, like Alaska, Yellowstone. I think it's almost definite that we're going to go to the Upper Peninsula
of Michigan.
Yes,
and maybe Switzerland. One of our friends are moving out there, so that would be great.
Hey, yeah, we would love to stay with you. help cut back on the cost of finding a hotel,
but also spending time with them.
That's true.
But seeing different areas of the world is so amazing, because it's very easy to get stuck in your own spot and thinking that that's the world. But then you go out and see these amazing places, and it just opens your mind. So that's really important for us. We're both educators. It's important to experience things. It's important to open your mind, and where you live in the world could be a lot different than where we're living in the world. You might be looking out your window right now, and it could be the sun is out, dry as a bone. And I just said before we went live that we got a flash flood warning for our county and an adjacent county until 7:45 tonight. So again, knock wood, we still have power. There's wind going, and the rain is pretty steady. But you never know when things are going to change. And it's just amazing that we could have all this in North Carolina, whereas you could be hot or dry as a bone. So it's important to get outside of your own world. So.
Yes. And one cool thing about traveling is it helps you to realize that diversity is not something to be scared of. Everybody, everywhere throughout the world, they're just people.
Yeah.
Sure, their culture might be different. They may be consuming foods that you're not accustomed to, like we tried haggis when we were in Scotland, which is, if you don't know what haggis is,
Well,
It's like the Scottish version of the American hot dog. It's
Yeah.
ground up parts of, I think, a sheep.
sheep
Sheep, yeah, like,
intestine, I believe.
and lungs. But they put spices in it, and it's actually, well, I thought it was quite tasty.
Yeah, it wasn't as it wasn't as jarring as I thought it was. But the one thing that I fell in love with that I couldn't believe was pudding when we were over. And it's not like a pudding cup, like the little Hunt's thing, that you peel off the top. It's like a sausage type thing. I'm so sorry to the UK people right now, and the Scottish people, but it was so good. So it's good to try it. Have you ever tried Rocky Mountain oysters?
No, I have not.
Okay, they're not oysters.
They're not.
They're bull testicles. So
Oh.
I have not tried them. But that's just within the United States, So anyway, it's good to try new foods. And I know in like Iceland and other places like that, whale blubber is huge. Have you had whale blubber before?
No, I have not had whale blubber.
So not sure if I'll have that anytime soon, but it's good to try. It's good to
try it. Some of the places we've been to internationally include England, Ireland, Scotland, Iceland, France, and Canada.
Yay!
And we've also,
our neighbor to the north, our
Yes.
wonderful neighbor to the north.
And we recently had we were recently in Canada when we were in Montana. We went up north to Alberta, Canada.
That's right.
And by the way, welcome people.
Welcome, people.
Nameless Droner and Mystic Angel Christina.
Hello. Welcome.
Welcome. Great to have you on board here.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us.
Yes.
What we were saying earlier is we are in we are experiencing Hurricane Florence right now.
Yes.
But we are lucky in that we're near the Raleigh, North Carolina area. So the hurricane's kind of going around us right now. So we are getting hit with some rain and wind. Actually kind of died down here a little bit right now.
And they're out there not too far from here too. So you guys are living through this too. So thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for joining us.
And let us know if you want us to say anything while we're on here.
Yes.
But we're all in this together, and that's what's important. That's
Definitely.
what's important. Nothing like a storm to help put life back into perspective here. So I'm glad the power's still on too. So thank you for so much for your support. So, because actually, I'm sorry, I just want to say one thing. We have a mall not too far from here, maybe 5 minutes away. And the last I heard, there wasn't any power there. And there are different areas, even in our zip code, that doesn't have power. So we're very, very grateful that we have power. I do want to say a shout out to New Bern, North Carolina. That's along the coast, if you're not familiar. It's kind of in the middle of the state on the coast. And they got hit very, very hard. New Bern used to be the capital of North Carolina years and years ago. And it's actually a city close to our hearts. They got slammed. And then Wilmington, which is like near the south part of North Carolina, but kind of close to the North Carolina and South Carolina border, they got a lot of rain and wind down there too. So anyway, just want to really send our thoughts out to those people who are really suffering right now.
Yes.
So, it's just what they're saying. There's thunderstorms in the area. I know that there are tornado watches up for a lot of the viewing area in the east part of North Carolina too. So just something that, you think about hurricanes, but then you forget things like tornadoes could happen on the back end of that. So just something to be aware of.
I think we're under a tornado watch until what time?
I want to say 5 o'clock. You guys might know better than that. I don't want to check this too much, but just something to be aware of. Because I grew up in Michigan actually, and we had tornadoes. And tornadoes, you have like a watch a couple hours before, and then it would go by, and then you were done. But the one thing about hurricanes is you've got days and days and days. I actually saw a meme that said, "Waiting for a hurricane is like being stalked by a turtle." I mean, you're like waiting, but and I don't mean to make light of it because a lot of people are suffering right now, but that waiting thing was something new to me for sure. So yeah. But I'm glad that people hopefully will stay safe.
Yes.
Yeah. It's still, we just get wind gusts every once in a while.
Now, we used to live in Cockeysville, Maryland, and we recall being hit by Hurricane Isabel, I believe.
Yeah, that's outside of Baltimore. So if you're not familiar with that area.
Yeah, Cockeysville, interesting name for a town.
So we had to spell it out a lot. But yeah, that's just north of Baltimore. And that was during Isabel, if you guys remember Isabel. That was 2004. 2003, 2004, and that was Baltimore got really ripped up from that.
Yes.
And Annapolis too. I believe there were people canoeing down the main drag there, if you're familiar with Baltimore or Annapolis. And I know you guys in New York really got affected by Sandy. So our hearts go out to, people have to experience people experience a lot of different traumas in their life. And being hit by the weather is one that you can't overlook because it can affect a lot of things. So, yeah.
Well, there's a lot of ways in which people can be affected. It's not only the disruption to your life, your routine, but also potential property loss. And can't also forget about pets. Some people aren't able to, if they decide to get out of an area that's about to be hit by a major weather event, they might not necessarily be able to bring their pets along, and they can be stranded sometimes.
And some people misunderstand what they should be doing with pets. You should never tie an animal to a tree. Some people were doing that. I think they were afraid that they would run away and get hurt. But if you tie them to a tree, then they have absolutely no way to get out. And one thing that I learned, especially with horses, because I belong to one of these Facebook pages that says it's actually better usually to leave horses out in the pasture, maybe leave the doors open to the barn, but you don't want to stall them up because horses can get really anxious when they feel like they're enclosed and can do a lot of damage to themselves, just freaking out. So it's something to pay attention to. Some people, I've read a lot of people have just left the barn doors open. So if they want to go in, but if they can get out, then they can run. And also to braid like a cow tag into their mane and put the identifying information if they happen to get out, or the fence bus or whatever. So just a few tips for you if you have horses or any livestock like that.
One of the major things that people can see when they're here in North Carolina are the Outer Banks, and the Outer Banks, and we do have videos of the Outer Banks, which we have not been edited and published yet, so that's in our video archive right now. But one of the things about the Outer Banks are the wild horses of Kerala.
Yes.
And a lot of people were expressing concern in the news media about whether or not the horses would be harmed during the hurricane. But in reality, the horses just got pop up here that I'm going to eliminate. There we go. A lot of the horses, we were told, are actually quite clever, quite resourceful.
Yeah.
And they can pretty much ride out these storms very well.
Yeah. And it looks like some of you are near the Outer Banks, so you know what we're talking about. If you're not familiar with the Outer Banks, that's just the term we use to describe the islands along the eastern shore of North Carolina. That's what the Outer Banks are. And it goes up pretty high all the way down on that eastern shore of North Carolina. But yeah, so the horses are quite clever, hopefully. That's what we're telling ourselves. Don't want anybody to get hurt. Yeah.
By the way, the electricity just flickered here briefly. So we're, hoping that during the entire live stream here that electricity will stay on, but there is a possibility it will cut off. So if that were to happen, just understand that's just a power issue that we have no control over.
And we're not being rude.
Yes.
We're just ending it. But we have our spirits here, so everything is okay.
Can't be hurricane party without spirits.
So, and some don't need refrigeration. So there you go. We're fine.
Nice.
But yeah, we actually had flickering early this morning. And knock wood, again, it's been okay. But this is supposed to go all day. And it's what, 3:20 now? It's been going all day. It's supposed to go into the night and then possibly tomorrow morning. So it's that sustained wind, sustained water, rain that's coming down, and the cumulative effect. Oh, another thing I wanted to say is, so after a lot of this rain and Florence goes away, to know that the rivers and stuff will continue to rise. So just please, please, please be careful, especially if there are down power lines. Down power lines and water, never a good mix. So, just heard something hit the window over there.
Oh, yes.
So, yeah, it's interesting. We got our spirits.
Yes, we do. Every time she says that, I have to take a drink.
Oh, is that it?
Yes.
That's the new game. But yes, so some of you are familiar with the Outer Banks. So,
and if some of you are not, the Outer Banks are a great place to visit.
They're
I mean,
awesome.
please support those communities, those businesses out there. They have a lot of very fun things to do. You can, again, see the wild horses of Kerala, which we did a few years ago.
Yay.
You can go parasailing. You can go hang gliding. You can see Kitty Hawk, where the Wright brothers flew their airplanes. And North Carolina is very well known for its lighthouses. There's how many? Like 5, I think.
Maybe some of you would know that better. I mean,
Yeah.
They're dotted along the coast, so there's a lot of things to do in the Outer Banks, and they're a great area to vacation. And, or you can just sit on the beach if you want.
Yeah, and the restaurants there have great seafood. So yes,
yeah, yeah. And some of you had said it's raining sideways there. Yikes. Yeah, we just want all of you guys to stay safe. Please stay safe. Oh, thank you. There are 5 in the Outer Banks. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's I know there's Bodie and Cape Hatteras and Ocracoke, and I don't know, you might know the others. But so if you're a lighthouse fan, it's also really nice. And there's some history that goes with that too. So a little history about the Kerala horses too is that when the Spanish were coming over here, did the ship wrecked, I think, and they were just throwing things overboard, including the horses. This was back in the 1500s, 1600s.
I believe so. I'm not sure if it was wrecked, but they were experiencing dangerous conditions.
Okay.
And to lighten the load, they were just dumping things off the ship, including their cargo, which happened to include the horses.
Yeah.
And some of them survived.
Yep. And so that's the horses we have out in Kerala are the descendants of that. So it's really cool. Unfortunately, their population is dwindling. But and when we say horses, I mean, they're real horses, but they're not, they're shorter than what you might picture, but they're amazing. So I'm an animal lover. So
yes, she is. I am too.
Yep.
Be right back.
We both are. So, yep. I'm going to just get rid of some of the things here. So we just want to protect. Oh, and Currituck, thank you. Currituck Lighthouse. Thank you very much for adding that. So Daniel's going to be back here in a second. He's going to get one of our residents here. Here's our main monkey man. Hi, monkey man.
Hello.
You might be able I can't see him.
Doesn't show up too well.
Doesn't show. He's gray, by the way. The coloring isn't real great here. I wonder if we can do that.
Okay, I woke him up. I'm not going to let him go.
There he goes. There goes Monkey. We dared to wake him up. We have another.
His fur's all ruffled now.
Well, we interrupted his 20 hours of sleep. So what are you going to say? But anyway, so North Carolina and the Outer Banks have a lot. And I just want to put a shout out there too. Florence is heading toward South Carolina. So we don't want to, forget about the people in South Carolina that are also dealing with this.
Especially Myrtle Beach, Charleston. In fact, we were in Charleston just this past summer.
We were.
Yeah, and those are some forthcoming videos about Fort Sumter and the city of Charleston itself. So, but yeah, we can't forget about those people down there because they weren't expecting the hurricane. So the hurricanes that was actually start curving down towards them.
Yeah.
So they may not be prepared.
That's right. And the other thing too is that it was supposed to go up more north. Well, it's literally going around us in North Carolina and then going up into like Pennsylvania. So it's a strange trajectory. And even the meteorologists were saying, we've not seen anything like this before. So, it's an odd thing. It's an odd thing that's happening.
Yeah.
So, so it's, it's really odd. All of a sudden it got very, 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 very quiet. Well, it's still raining, but it was weird. I know some of you had seen before that, right before it got here, things got very quiet, like eerily quiet. Nobody was around. The birds had stopped chirping. The squirrels had stopped moving, which isn't always a bad thing. Squirrels sometimes can do damage to your house.
Not a fan of squirrels.
Love all animals, squirrels sometimes, but like nothing was moving. And that's kind of eerie, especially when you're used to movement and such. So thank you very much for listening. There's Buddy, Lighthouse, Currituck, Cape Hatteras, Ocracoke, Cape Lookout. Thank you very much for adding that. Yeah. And they each have their own history. And I believe we took a ferry to Ocracoke, if memory serves. So, took a ferry there. North Carolina has little ferries because the eastern part of North Carolina has all these like little fingers. It's not like one solid boundary. It has all these little fingers. So in order to get from one area to the other, you have to take a ferry in some areas. So it's kind of a cool state in that way. So, yeah.
One thing I'd like to say is, as we mentioned earlier, New Bern is really getting hit. A lot of flooding. But I'm hoping, because every November they have this festival, October, called, every October they have a festival called Mumfest. So assuming that they have that again this year, highly encourage that you try to attend. It's really fun.
Yes.
I do have footage of last year's Mumfest. I'll try and put that together and create videos soon. But that'd be a great way to help support their local businesses.
Yes.
To help them recover from all the damage that they're currently experiencing.
Yeah, and it's there's a lot of vendors, there's a lot of food, and it would really be a great, if they're going to have it this year. It's supposed to be the weekend of the 13th, 14th of October, somewhere in there. I think like a month from today. So hopefully they'll be able to clean everything up and then bring in as a show of support, because they're really getting hammered now. So it's a really great event, though.
Yes.
Very, very good.
Another great place to visit here in North Carolina is Wilmington.
Yes.
Wilmington has especially along Front Street, in a wide variety of streets, but Front Street just happens to come to mind. They have a lot of great restaurants, a lot of, I personally love pubs. So, in case you haven't noticed.
Yay!
But, lots of pub food, lots of beers. There's also the Battleship North Carolina that's there. That's something really cool to check out.
Yeah.
So don't forget to also, if you're ever in the area, check out Wilmington. And not too far from Wilmington, they also have a beach, Wilmington Beach, I think it's called.
Wrightsville Beach.
Oh, Wrightsville
Beach.
Wrightsville
and actually
Beach.
Wrightsville Beach is getting hammered too. But yeah, there's also a lot of history in Wilmington too. And they filmed movies there, and they filmed TV shows. We're both TV movie people too. So there was a show called One Tree Hill that used to be filmed there. Dawson's Creek used to be filmed there. There was a movie called Blue Velvet. There were some scenes that were filmed there. What other movies have they filmed in Wilmington? But you can do like a tour of it. So and there's history. There's a ghost walk. So it's a neat little. It's not that little, I guess, but it's a neat place down there. It's one of our places we enjoy going. So little shops. There's a place called the Cotton refinery, I believe. It used to be a place that they've turned into restaurants and shops, so it's really neat down there.
Just reading the
I'm
chat
just
here.
reading. Thank you. The Currituck Light is located by Whalehead Club.
Oh yeah, we were.
Oh yeah, we were there.
Yeah, we were at the Wellhead Club.
That's right.
Like 2 years ago, I think.
Yeah, that's in Corolla. Thank you. And there's a lot
Yes.
of family. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the Whalehead Club is like an old clubhouse or whatever, and they have tours, and it's really, really cool. We both also love
Yes.
old houses and architecture like that, and it's right on the water, which is cool.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's right. Thank you very much for sharing that again.
Yeah, I think that's where we had our first stand-up paddle board experience.
Yes, we did. Yeah, there's stand-up paddle boarding there. That's right. That's right. It's a lot different out in the
Well, she stood up. I fell off a lot.
So it was just a paddle board. But it was, yeah, that's right. It's a neat place.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we're we also love water too. So being right on the water, it's a really neat place to take a tour as well.
I think it used to be a hunting lodge. I think, and then
yes,
at one point in the past,
that's right.
That's how it started off.
That's right. So it's got it's really neat on the inside. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I remember that. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I think it's haunted. I think so. So, but we didn't do that tour. We just did a regular tour of it. But it's a very neat place. So North Carolina has a lot going for it. So we've been talking about the eastern part of North Carolina. The western part of North Carolina has mountains. It has Asheville, which has the Biltmore Estate, which is basically, I call it one of America's castles. I mean, it is absolutely breathtaking. Built by Vanderbilts, a derivative of, built by the Vanderbilts, and it's absolutely gorgeous, especially at Christmas.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. It's like Santa Claus just exploded everywhere. It's just perfect. It's absolutely perfect. And then you also have the Grandfather Mountain, you have Boone, you have the Linville Caverns. I mean, you have so many things out west. So we don't want to forget about the beauty of the western part of North Carolina.
Yes. One thing that we were thinking about doing this weekend was going to the World Equestrian Games, which are in North Carolina. I think Troy, North Carolina.
Tryon,
North Carolina,
which is south of Asheville.
Almost directly south if you look at a map. And you know, we end up knocking the tickets for that just because life took us over for a few weeks. And I kind of feel sorry for the people who did get tickets, because they're probably going to get washed out because the western part of the state's also going to get hit with rain.
They are. So if you're in Asheville right now or know somebody out there, let us know what it's like out there, because these are World Equestrian events. It's quite an honor for it to be held in North Carolina, and unfortunately has to be held during this time when Hurricane Florence is here. But I just wanted to add, going back to the eastern part of the state, that someone has shared that the Whalehead Club is haunted. It used to belong to the Knight family in the 1920s. And if you also like haunted towns, now we're getting into Halloween. Ooh, a little bit. A good one is Littletown, North Carolina. So that's what one of our viewers shared. So if you know anything, wanted to add about Littletown. I'm not familiar with Littletown, but it'd be great to hear about a little haunted town. Because soon we'll be coming into one of Daniel's favorite times of year, the Halloween.
During a time where Tracy gets to watch horror movies with me. Yay! See how exuberant she is?
I don't like being scared, but I love pumpkins. So if there's anything you guys want to share, we've just let us know on the chat here. Or if you've lost power or anything you wanted us to let other people know about, please let us know. Because again, I'm hoping that it will continue to not get any worse here. And I hope that you guys will continue to stay safe.
Yes.
So, anything more about
Well,
North Carolina?
yes. Oh, there's these little pop-ups.
There's little pop-ups that come up, so we're trying to get rid of those.
Thank you, Google.
Hello. Welcome.
Hi.
Welcome. Yeah, so we've just been talking about the really cool things that North Carolina has to offer, and just some things about the hurricane.
Mm-hmm.
And Daniel's taking a sip from his spirits anytime.
Yep.
Oh, there it is. Woo.
Woohoo.
Cheers. While we live out Hurricane Florence, because again, the build up to the hurricane there's a lot of build up, because the first I heard about Florence was last Saturday, when they said this is something to pay attention to. Some of you guys might have heard about it sooner, but that's really when it came across my radar that it was going to be a big storm.
Yeah.
So,
well, I remember, it started off the west coast of Africa, I believe, and they thought it would just kind of weaken in the Atlantic and not go anywhere. But I think it really caught a lot of the weather forecasters by surprise.
Yeah, it did me too. I was like, whoa, okay. But then I remember that September is really one of the prime months for hurricanes. And the one thing, if you don't live in an area with hurricanes, the actual place that it really gets hit is awful, but it's how big it is and how wide it is. And they did say one of the things about Florence is that she's so wide. Oh, don't normally want to say that about a female, but normally
referring to a hurricane here.
Hurricane. You don't want to say a woman's wide. She doesn't like that. Anyway, that it's so wide and covering such a space that I know that, like I said before, it's supposed to go up west into maybe parts of West Virginia up into Pennsylvania, which is sort of an odd trajectory, but that's what they're forecasting. So, yeah, thank you. So Florence is supposed to be the size of North Carolina and South Carolina combined. Wow. So that's huge.
That's massive.
That is massive. So
the last major hurricane I can remember would be Matthew, which was about 2 years ago.
Yeah, Matthew.
And, it was a Category 1 hurricane. It didn't linger as long as Florence is projected to, though. Yeah, nor was it the size of Florence, and it did cause flooding.
Yeah.
We know of a lake in this area called Lake Benson, and there's like these benches that people can sit at near the lake. And I remember after Matthew, those benches were halfway submerged in water.
Yeah.
And normally they were like 20, 30 feet away from the shoreline.
That's right. Oh, and some of you shared that it flooded where you are. Yeah, Matthew really affected a lot of people. I was away on I was doing a book event in Michigan, actually, so I missed it. But Daniel was here. Luckily, we were okay, but the lake isn't too far from here, and the flooding was pretty amazing. I'm sorry if you experienced flooding, because it's just one thing that you don't think about. And the thing about hurricanes too is that I heard that a lot of the deaths that happened were from the flooding, and it happens usually after the event. So, because people, I think, have a lot of wherewithal during the time, but then we let down our guard a little bit. And it's like, oh, I can drive through that, and then either get caught driving through it or walking through it, and the current just takes them away. So we just have to continue to be aware. No reason to live in panic, but just being aware and focused will be helpful. So the other thing too is I had a student a couple weeks after Matthew, and he had flooding in his house, like unfortunately a lot of you had, and it actually had gone up to like his dresser. That's how much water he had. So when I was younger, there was a flood that happened in our town, and we had gotten, I don't know, maybe an inch or two of water in our basement, and that was bad enough. Luckily, we didn't have any sewage, because that's what was happening with some people. And so just some things to be aware of. And again, my heart goes out to the people that are doing that, going through that. So, But it looks like we need to visit Little Town.
Yes.
If you guys can let us know where that is exactly in North Carolina, what area of North Carolina is, that would be really helpful, because we'll probably be there seeing the ghost. Oh, 'tis the season.
But North Carolina has a bunch of. Oh, before we go on to North Carolina, I just want to say one purportedly haunted place that we were at was Leap Castle, located in Ireland.
Oh yeah.
So we do have footage of that. We were in Ireland not this past summer, but the summer before that. So stay tuned for that video. It's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, Leap Castle, I recall that the family actually hired a large number of mercenaries to help protect the estate when the peasants rebelled. And then afterwards, they had a big dinner for the mercenaries. And since they didn't want to pay the mercenaries, they decided to poison them. So there's a lot of dark history there with Leap Castle. It's a pretty fascinating place.
It really is. And the man that runs it is just, he's a character in and of himself. And he has tours, and it's amazing. A lot of Americans, I know for me, have never experienced anything. So yeah. And Leap Castle is actually kind of located in the middle of Ireland. In the middle.
You have to kind of go out of your way a little bit to get there.
You do, because Dublin is on the eastern shore, and then Galway's on the western shore of Ireland, but you got to kind of go in the middle. And then Waterford's to the south, and then you have obviously Northern Ireland. So it's kind of in the middle of all that. So, but it is a great place.
Yes.
It is a great place with a lot of history.
And Leap Castle will be one of our Halloween specials, I think.
Yeah, I think that makes
yes.
Oh, we're just getting a big gust here, so hopefully.
I don't know if you guys can see that here.
Let's
trying to direct it. You can see some kind of died down just now.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
But going back to North Carolina, there are a whole bunch of other really cool things to see. Like recently, we were at the North Carolina Zoo, which is I remember seeing it advertised as like one of the largest walking zoos in the world.
Yeah.
So, and they focus specifically upon North American animals and also African. And you can pay a little extra money to go on a safari where they drive you through some of the animal exhibits.
Yeah.
We saw multiple rhinoceroses there.
We did, and it's the safari is completely worth it, because you go off the beaten path and you actually go into their area.
Yeah.
And they had a baby rhinoceros. Oh my God, there are two of them. One of them was Bonnie, and the other one was, oh my gosh, I can't remember the other one. Oh my goodness, he was the one.
Though, I think.
Yeah, I can't remember his name. But he was this tiny little thing. Bonnie was sleeping. But this little guy, whose name escapes me now, he was just running around and very curious about us. And they're just so tiny because they don't have their horns. So they're just kind of like, they're so cute. But yeah, it's a really neat zoo. And they have a lot of different things. They have a ropes course there. They have a really neat bird show there. There's just lots of other things that you can do there. Yeah. Oh, and a carousel, if you like carousel. So.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, thank you. Little Town is west of Roanoke Rapids. Okay. In Halifax County. So, ooh, yeah. We'll have to go there for sure.
Definitely. And that reminds me, Roanoke is another place you can visit here in North Carolina, where they have a play, a performance showing what may have happened to the people who lived in Roanoke. And the history of that is a number of people settled in Roanoke, but then they just disappeared. And there's a number of conspiracy theories about what happened to them, but it just makes for a fascinating play and performance.
Absolutely. It's called The Lost Colony. So that's Roanoke Island, and then there's Roanoke Rapids, which is a city in the part of in the state of North Carolina. So, but yeah, The Lost Colony is definitely worth it. Just know that they'll have the show Rain or Shine. And when we went, it was raining, pouring rain, pouring rain, and they still had it. And it's an outside theater. So there's no covering, there's no awning. But the people still did their job. It's amazing. It was an amazing performance. Live theater is always really neat too. So yeah.
Always, yeah.
Always. So yeah, um, seeing the Lost Colony is very worth it for sure. Um, if you're an Andy Griffith, he lived out there too, out in that area as well. So um, yeah, just lots of neat history here in North
Mhm.
Carolina.
Yeah, and adventure too. We went hot air ballooning once in
Yes.
Asheville.
Yep.
Unfortunately, don't have video. This was before we started even thinking about doing YouTube, so we have no video footage of that. So
Yeah.
therefore, we need to go back and have that experience again to go hot air ballooning.
Yeah.
But that was fun. We went skydiving.
That was fun.
Yes, and there's one video right now on the channel about skydiving, and we're going to put another video on of Tracy's experience.
That's
So
right.
from her point of view.
Yeah, because we've been indoor skydiving, which was
Mhm.
outside of Rayford, North Carolina.
Yep.
And then we did the real skydiving. The sweet Jesus, what am I doing? Skydiving. An amazing experience.
Mhm.
That was north of the Triangle
Mhm.
in North Carolina. So, but yeah, thank you for the information
Yes, thank you.
about Littleton for sure. That is very cool.
We
That
will.
is very cool.
We will have to put on our travel itinerary for real.
Yeah.
We try to go to a variety of places, you know, and
Welcome,
hey,
welcome,
Ty
welcome.
Speaks, welcome. Glad to have you here.
Yeah, welcome.
But we try to again go on one big trip every year, and then throughout the rest of the year we go on little tiny trips.
Yeah, exactly. So if you
Mhm.
guys have any more ideas, we're totally open
Yes.
to hearing where you have to go, because there are all these little nooks and crannies that we don't know about. So any of you ideas that you have, please let us know. So I'm excited about Littleton. That's
Yes.
cool. Thank you again for sharing. Yeah, this is very cool.
Mhm.
Love traveling. We would just travel all the time if we could.
Yes.
Just it's so much fun.
Yes.
So
If there's any corporate sponsors out there, we would love to have you fund us.
Yeah, but it's one of the things is traveling is so important for for us to experience, but we also want to share it with you. For whatever reason, you might not be able to get out. Maybe you're homebound.
Mhm.
Maybe you're taking care of family. Maybe you're not able to get out because you're taking care of kids, or you have a job or something, or financially not able to go. We
Mhm.
want to be able to bring that to you.
Yes.
So help us help you.
Yes.
Because there's just so many cool things to do out there. So
Mhm.
many, and we love random things too. I mean, we've been to the world's largest frying pan. Some of you guys know where that is, near Duplin, in North Carolina. And I think we saw the world's largest, possibly
Maybe.
the world's largest purple spoon.
Yes.
Random.
That was where Montana.
That
I
was in
think?
Montana.
Yes.
So we're open to seeing that too. So so we like the places where our tourists go, but we also like to hear about little neat things. So please share that.
Mhm.
Yeah, any ideas you have. So wherever you are in the world, thanks for bringing your ideas.
Yes. And thank you for being with us here today.
Absolutely, absolutely, because we're all looking out our windows now thinking, and if you guys have big trees like we do,
Yeah.
there is a waiting to exhale moment here where it's like,
Mhm.
but so far,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, we saw in the news this morning this one man, a tree fell in his house in the middle of the night, and
Yeah.
it like gashed open his roof. And you know, and it's early yet in the hurricane, so there's going to be a lot of rain coming in, and I can just imagine the mold issues that he's going to end up experiencing, and all the water damage.
Yeah.
So you know, just hoping and praying that everybody will get through this safely, that there will be no loss of life and minimal loss of property.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what, yeah, and we agree with you. We'll feel
Mhm.
better too when this is completely
Yeah.
over. All of us, I think, are just holding our breath right now.
Mhm.
And again, for those, and I'm so grateful for all the shelters that are open. I'm grateful for a lot of the people that have been willing to open their houses and their homes to people who are trying to get off the coast, or even if you're not living on the coast, even inland, because this is just affecting inland. All the people that their generosity really comes out in times like this. So that's always heartwarming to see, is the generosity. We don't hear enough about that.
Yeah.
So
so much news is negative, but there's a lot of positive, hopeful things in the world that we
Yeah.
need to embrace and celebrate.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And again, that's one cool thing about travel, is that it shows you that people are, generally speaking, people are more alike than they are different,
Yeah.
and you can learn from those differences. It's kind of neat trying out different cuisines and learning about the histories of different places, learning about what's important to different types of people. So
Yeah. And what's interesting is there's so many common threads,
mhm,
people have a need to love their family and their friends and their pets and their what's important to them. So
mhm,
there's some common threads.
yes,
So yeah, just in times like this, it's important to just focus on a lot of good things that are out there, not dismissing the negativity or the trauma that you go through.
mhm,
But we just wanted to bring a little bit of light and levity today
yes,
on a day, especially if you're having a hard time
mhm.
with this. Because again, we are very grateful for that. We don't have too much going on right now. So what other things did you want to talk about?
I don't know.
But again,
We could end this live stream with Tracy getting a tickle attack.
no,
So
that's okay.
if 20 people say yes,
No.
tickle her, we will proceed with that tickle
No,
attack.
no. We don't need that. We don't need that. But that would be boring for them. So but anyway, if you guys have any stories or anything that you wanted to share with us while we're talking, please
Mhm.
feel free. If you decided to stay and wish you had left, or you left and wish you had stayed, or what are you doing with your animals?
Mhm.
Ours right now are totally asleep. They're totally asleep. They've got nothing. They have no idea of what's going on, which is
Mhm.
how we wanted it. We
Yes,
wanted it to stay.
we have 2 cats.
We have 2 cats, by the
Mhm.
way. We wanted to stay as we wanted it to stay as even and calm for them as possible, and let the human adults deal with everything that's going on. So they're
Mhm.
completely passed out, which is good.
Yep.
Which is good.
I'm not quite
It's-
sure where the other cat is right now.
yeah, I don't know where he went. He's probably, who knows. Those of you that have cats, you know that they they find
Oh,
places to sleep, that are amazing. But
you have 3
you've
cats.
got 3 kitties.
Oh,
That's
nice.
awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, they're are they doing okay today? Hopefully. Oh, I wanted to say, one of the local news channel um, ladies, one of the people who were reporting on the weather, helped this one family with their dog, save the dog. So that was pretty. Poor puppy didn't know what was happening.
Mhm.
He's like, I don't know what's going on. And the water was up to, because they were carrying him, and he was a good sized dog. I don't know, maybe 40, 50 pounds. They were carrying him under his paws. But the water was pretty high. It was, I don't know, at least 2 feet high. So, or I don't know how high, but it was pretty high. So anyway, it was sweet to see that they
Mhm.
saved the puppy. So well, I'm glad that your kitties are fine, because
Yes.
they are they're family too.
Yes, they are.
And we joke that we pay the mortgage, but we just live here. We just pay the mortgage, but they're the ones that really
They're the real homeowners.
they're the real kings. Yeah, they're our kids too.
Yes.
They're our kids too. So we understand that feeling for sure. So we're glad that they're not even aware of what's happening,
Mhm.
which is what we had hoped. Because one of the things, you guys with animals and stuff, that you kind of have to decide, is it going to be more stressful for them to move, like in a situation for you to actually evacuate? Would that be more stressful, or would it be more stressful to stay? So there's a lot of
Mhm.
decisions you have to make. Cats, those of you that have cats know, a lot of them don't do well with change at all. Now some cats are really good and they do well in traveling, and then others they do not do well when they
Yeah.
travel.
Our 2 boys, they start complaining 10 minutes into a car ride.
Oh,
So
5 minutes. Yeah.
so traveling out of our way, away from Florence to with the cats, that would have been more stressful on them, I think.
I think so.
Yeah.
Unless it got so
Mhm.
bad here that, we were flooded and
Mhm.
trees and stuff. So,
Yeah.
but I know everybody had to make that decision
Mhm.
how if they were going to evacuate, and I know animals can make it more difficult. So, yeah. So 2 or 3 like to go on car rides, and one will talk to you the whole. That's a way of looking at it.
Yes.
Yeah, they talk to us, and they're saying, "Please let me out of here now. What are we doing? Where are we going?
I am not happy with
I
this.
am not pleased at all. You are my staff, and you are not living up to your job
I
description."
did not order this.
I know. I command you to stop. So, yeah, they're amazing beings. So, anyway, I think we're gonna start wrapping this up now. But we
Yes.
really, really
Mhm.
appreciate everybody joining us today. And please let us know if you're safe and how you're doing, because again, we're all in this together.
Mhm. And if there's something else that you want to say later on, please just submit a comment at the end of the video.
Absolutely. And any ideas that you have of places to go,
Mhm.
in addition to Littleton, which I'm thrilled about, that I'm excited about that, please let us know.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. I hope everybody has a safe
Yeah.
experience with Hurricane Florence,
That's
and
right.
we are wishing all of you well.
Absolutely. And
Yes.
remember, life is sweet for the bold
So adventure with us
on
on
Travel
Travel
Odysseys.
Odysseys.
Goodbye.
Bye.